Hello everybody, my name is Spoons Rattling, and welcome to another video. This one is on ranking the specialist detachments for Chaos Space Marines. Now these, if you don't know what specialist detachments are, they are from older supplements. You pay a CP to gain 2 stratagems, certain units gain a keyword, and a relic and warlord trait. Generally, they're not the strongest choices, and a few of them don't work anymore, which I will point out in this video. Though there are a couple things that I feel are very powerful that are somewhat slept on in the Chaos Space Marine army building meta. Let's take a look at the first one, which is one of my personal favorites, the Devastation Battery. Havocs, Lords, Obliterators, and Warpsmiths gain the Devastation Battery keyword. And the 2 stratagems, starting with the first one, is Wall Breakers, which is reroll damage against hits against a building with a shooting unit. Not very strong, but here's what I like. 1 CP for punishing volleys. If you did not get first turn, when your enemy moves, choose a Devastation Battery unit to shoot as if it were the shooting phase. Now, Chaos Space Marines are definitely more dangerous in melee than shooting, though having a volley of, say, Havocs or Obliterators shoot at someone as they're moving before they even get to shoot, could be quite disruptive and allows you to strike when an enemy isn't expecting it, as well as doing out-of-phase damage, which is more and more important, with more and more models having the limit of 3 wounds per phase, or 8 for, like, the greater demons. The relic is pick a Devastation Battery within 6 inches, they ignore cover. Their Warlord trait is reroll 1s to wound for Devastation Battery units within 6 of targeting a vehicle. Really, the only reason I like this one is the 1 CP punishing volleys stratagem, as it adds some extra security if you end up going second. However, if you don't want to spend the CP, as we are Alpha Legion, usually, for me, or if you're just short on CP, it might not be worth it. However, if you have the CP to spare, I feel that it could be very good assurance against going second. Next up is the Daemonkin Ritualists, which I think is actually the strongest one here. We'll get to that in a minute. So, Masters of Possession, Possessed, and Dark Apostle and Dark Disciples get the keyword. The stratagems, it is 1 CP, is Vessels for the Neverborn. It's like the Daemonkin Ritualist, demon unit within 6 inches of a Master Possession. Add 1 to its strength and attacks characteristics. Very strong stratagem, converting CP to damage. Next is Souls of the Devoted. It's like the Possessed unit within 6 inches of a Daemonkin Ritualist HQ. Take D3 mortal wounds. Character regains wounds equal to mortal wounds. So again, not great. I don't think that one's particularly good, though I guess if you desperately needed health and you had a squad that was doing fine, it wouldn't be the worst. Their relic is the Burning Rod, a strength plus 3, AP 2, damage D3. I believe it replaces the staff on a Master of Possession. If the unit is not destroyed, roll 3d6. If higher than leadership, the unit takes 3 mortal wounds. Which is interesting, though I don't think it's worth it. Here's where it gets interesting. Warlord trait. When a Daemonkin Ritualist unit within 6 inches inflicts 1 mortal, rolls an unmodified wound roll of 6, inflict 1 mortal wound in addition to any other damage. Now that on its own is generally quite strong, but where it gets crazy is with the Master of Possession. He has a spell that means that any hit of a 6 auto wounds at a unmodified 6. So with Possessed, if you use the CP for Souls of the Devoted and a couple spells, you can get them up to Strength 7 and with so many attacks. And they are doing a bunch of mortal wounds just from their hits alone, not accounting for their wounds. I think that could actually be pretty impressive. With proper buffs, I think they could, in theory, take down something like a knight with just the mortal wound output. However, we'll get to that in another video. Next up is the Host Raptorial, which is one of the ones that doesn't really work anymore, as it's anything with the jump pack keyword. So Raptors and why can't I remember? Raptors and Warp Talons. 1 CP for Vicious Descent. Unit arriving from reserves gets to reroll all hits. That's good on, say, Raptors, who get to reroll their wounds. Or, not Raptors, Warp Talons. 1 CP for Terror Strike. When a unit destroys an enemy, units are -1 leadership within 6 inches of Host Raptorial units, which I guess could be good if you're trying to stack those debuffs, as it's different from Fearsome. Good for, say, Night Lords, getting their Raptors and Warp Talents to -4 leadership, which is actually quite significant if they can destroy a unit. The Relic and Warlord traits are quite literally unusable, as there is no character with a jump pack, but the Chiropterian Wings. Every unit move it over, roll d6, 4+, deal d3 mortal wounds, and add 2 to charges for Host Raptorial units within 6 inches. However, this one's really only worth it for its stratagems, which they are decent stratagems in certain situations. So if you really want to build around Raptors and Warp Talons, this is probably a good idea for you. Especially for playing, what's it called? Night Lords. Because you can use Terror Strike when attacking something soft that you can almost guaranteed kill, and get yourself more -1 leadership. Quite powerful with the pre-existing leadership debuffs. Next up is the Soulforged Pact, which is Warpsmiths and Demon Engines. And I believe, what's it called? The Lord Discordant also gets it. These stratagems, you have 1 CP for Demon Forge Overdrive, double wounds remaining for degrading in 1 turn, or until wounds are reduced to 0, which is okay if the situation calls for it. Could be very powerful if you're using something like a Lord of Skulls. Next is Infernal Engines for 1 CP. A Soulforged Pact Demon Engine can charge even if it's advanced. That one I think is quite powerful, especially it's just really good if you're not playing something like Red Corsairs. Next, their relic is the Mecha Serpents, which is Strength +1, AP 1, Damage 2. Makes 1 attack for every model within 1 inches. It replaces your Mecha Tendrils. The Warlord trait is add 2-inch movement for Soulforged Demon Engines while within 6 inches. That's pretty good, especially with the with the charge. That can have some very fast Demon Engines sprint up the board and charge in to get their usually pretty good melee into combat with, say, a Mauler Fiend. And that's about it. There is one more, though it works off keywords that don't actually exist anymore, so I'm just ignoring it. I don't think they're the strongest aside from a couple things. Devastation Battery is, again, good insurance against going second, and especially with things like first turn charge Death Company being so common and things like that, it can be nice to have the ability to blast those units away before they get to deliver their full power. The Daemonkin Ritualists can have 61 attacks at Strength 7, 6 hits to hit auto wound, add a 6, with each 6 hitting an extra mortal wound, easily getting 10 plus mortal wounds just from hits alone. It's honestly probably overkill, but it would allow them to tear down things even far above their normal weight class, and they would just destroy all kinds of infantry. I don't think there's anything that could really withstand that many mortal wounds, as well as all the other damage they do. They truly become just a monstrous blender with the Master of Possession, which I'll do in a separate video as well to show exactly how it works. But seriously, it could be quite devastating. If you want to build around Possessed, keep that in mind. Again, my name has been Spoons Rattling. I am currently inside a box of old Space Marines, and I will see you all next time.